Ladies and gentlemen, here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. For the first time ever, I'm going to put off what is the impossible to do, because this guy doesn't normally want to do interviews with people. You know why? To me, he is the #1 reason why someone like me gets an opportunity to be creative. And I'm doing it like that. The people thought he was crazy. And I thought he was crazy cool. When you jump over judges and come right back and make up your own stuff on the spot. Oh my God, I am the #1, yes, #1 fan of this man. Worldwide, he is known. And all I can say is this. I'm so lucky that he even knows my freaking name. Without further ado, Professor Robert Sugar Crossan, the real deal legend in my eyes. How you doing, sir?
Oh man, I'm doing great and getting better. All praises due to God, man. And you talking about you grateful that I know your name, man. You used to be out there whipping them, flipping them, dipping them. Come on, man.
All right, but let's keep it real. At age 10 years old and 11 years old, I would go to tournaments, 1976, 1977. And in Region 11, there was a gentleman who was rated in multiple divisions, and he was not like the rest. This dude was doing flips, kicks, and twists, and I'm like, holy, this is a family show, you know the rest. Anyhow, I remember a time where you are using a 3-sectional staff, but then I think it might have had a blade in the end of it.
Yeah, maybe blades on there, and that was something I made with chains in it and pipes, yeah. Actually, and then I found that I was going to the store and I found it in the trash. I saw it on some boxes and it was just some pipes. So I took it, I went and bought some chains. I said, let me do something else. I put some knives on it. Well, I practiced before that. You know, one day I got myself in the head, but it came along and next thing you know, I said, you know what, there's a tournament tomorrow. There's a $50 cash prize. I got to go out on a limb. So I put some knives on there, taped them on sharp knives, butcher knives I bought out the store, Kifu, taped them up and taped the handles, and that was it.
The rest is history. Well, yeah. I was there because I think it got stuck in the ceiling.
Oh yeah, that was another time. Yeah, I drew them up, they got stuck. The knife was real.
But then it fell down. And you caught it and still started twirling and jumping through, doing all this crazy stuff.
Man, it was $50 on the line. I couldn't afford to drop that weapon. Come on, man. That was my food money. Shoot.
Man, listen, in all honesty, man, we know that all of us are unique, as we spoke about, but not everybody gets a chance to express it. For whatever reason it is. I remember when I was a young man, we were taught to be leaders and not followers.
Right.
For some reason, in 2020 and previously, people became followers, not leaders. What the heck is that about? Why didn't you just become a person who just followed?
Well, I don't know. I just had this thing that in me at a young age. You know, my father, first and foremost, who was my first instructor, Reverend James Crossan, who was a hand-to-hand combat instructor in the military. He started training my brother and I when I was age 3. But from age 3, I can, for some reason, remember the very first technique that he ever showed me, which was like a little leg scissor takedown. And at the time, it was just fun for me. But as we went along, and, you know, he would say, Sugar, show me the technique. And he would come like he's going to chop me. And I would drop down, do the scissor technique, come up and chop him. He picked me up, start tickling me. And, you know, it was just fun and games. But as I got older, you know, 7, 8, I started to get, you know, more serious about this thing. So I don't know. It's like something that the Creator put into me. He put this into me just like he put into you what you do. And we just have this natural ability from young kids, man. I just say it's a God-gifted, given gift and talent. I mean, you got many talented martial artists out there. But, you know, I consider, you know, like myself, not only a martial artist, but a performer, an athlete, a teacher, a motivator. And there's so many hats that I've been able to wear, and I'm not tripping on that, but I thank God. But anyway, to get back to answering your question, I just never wanted to follow certain people, you know. I mean, they say don't be a copycat, and then they say it's all right if you copy the right cat. So I would look at examples. I would look at guys back in the day like, you know, it was crazy. I always wanted to be like a superhero. I would look at Superman. He was strong. I would look at Hercules. He was strong. I would look at Mighty Mouse. He was strong. I would look at Samson. He was strong. And I would look at Jack LaLanne because he was strong. But the only thing, not that I'm prejudiced, but I said, you know, none of these guys look like me. You know, they're light skinned, white, whatever. And I didn't know.
Well, the real Samson would have, but that's another story.
Yeah, but the way, yeah. So I said, you know what? I can't be Jack LaLanne, but today I consider myself as Black LaLanne. But anyway, yeah, I just didn't want to be like the others, and I just had that creativity. You know how Michael Jackson just had his own style, his own thing. It was just a gift given to me by the Creator. So, you know, that was the path that I took.
But this is the difference, right? We are all given God-given gifts, but you actually cultivated it. See, that's the difference. Some people just don't remember. You went back to age 3 and you had a mentor, a role model who did what martial military really is. And then he also had art, the creativity, and that yin and yang, that oxymoron, hence martial arts, has people confused. Sometimes they get stuck in the martial. Sometimes they just get stuck in the art. It's a combination of both. So yeah. Your father, wow, that's phenomenal.
He told me, you know, he always taught me to be a you know, he used to tell me this saying, you know, love the life you live and live the life you live. I never knew what that meant. But in essence, what he was telling me, you know, walk to the drum beat of your drum and not everybody else. Because if you try to follow every beat in the band, every step in the band, there are many that are out of step and it's going to be total confusion for you. He said, so beat your own drum, make your own path, do your own thing. He said, God is the creator. And he created you in his image, which he embedded that creativeness in you. So in turns, you are a creator. He said, and if you don't utilize that, not only to your advantage, but to the advantage, to the benefit of helping others in your life moving forward, he said, God will take that away from you. He said, otherwise you're gifted. He said, but if you don't use that gift or those gifts and talents to help others, not so much for yourself, because you got it, but to help others, he said, then he's going to take it. And from that, I said, well, you know, I never want him to take these gifts. I want to develop them. I want to cultivate them. I want to be the best that I can be. I want to reach a level so high that people will see me, recognize me, respect me, and then seek knowledge and wisdom from me if I can get to that level. And, you know, that's what I always strive for. So
keep rising to the top. Give them all you got. Give them all you got. Ain't no... Wait a second, that's Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh.
Oh, gotta give props to Dougie Fresh, who calls me Triple F.
Just spoke to him. Yeah. You know, the honorary black on his Sugaroo Jiu-Jitsu now. And,
wow, my man.
Turning tomorrow, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, he got some skills in cooking too. He's been doing his, man, I see him on Instagram doing his thing. Yeah,
we got to talk about that time in Vegas too a little bit.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I digress. Anyhow, so what I heard you just say is very biblical, because there's a story about the talents. And it's interesting because the talents that were given by, to the servants, when the guy had only one, instead of him going into the market to try to multiply, he buried it. So talents to me is like talents. And if you don't use your talent, they'll take it away from you and give it to someone who desires it or is willing to use it. So I strongly believe, like we just said, God gives you our gift of life, and we have free will. That's what separates us from all the other so-called animals on earth, creatures and created by the Creator. And our ability to take our gift and cultivate it is our gift back to the Creator.
That's right.
So I strongly believe that, and it's interesting that we have the same. Even though my motivation for martial arts also came from my father, but he was incarcerated in federal prison, and I just heard that he did karate, and that was enough for me to put what would be my mother to put a seed in me that, hey, I want to be like that, even though I never met him at the time. And even though, but 1976, he paid for my martial arts lessons at Sang Soo Tiger Camps with his VA check.
Yes. Wow.
And again, I'm a little biased because I believe that I'm the luckiest man in the world. And one of the reasons is because I'm here, and I'm still here. So I feel, but at the same time, the reason I say that someone like you, knowing my name is like fascinating, because I'm a younger kid, and I remember seeing you performing, and then competing, winning all the time. Man, this guy had literally some. We're gonna, in the 1970s, they were called bell bottoms. So he had bell bottom uniforms and suede uniforms and freaking patterns of leopard. And who made those uniforms for you, man?
I made them. Let me tell you a quick story of how I learned how to sew. It was about 1970. I was on tour. I was 17, 71. And Dr. Powley asked me to go on tour with him to do demonstrations. That's when he was in his prime. If he threw a punch, a building would fall down. But I was the only Uki. We were doing 3-4 demonstrations a day. And he said to me, if you make it through this, he said, you're going to either be good or you're going to be good and dead. I said, sir, I'm going to try to settle for good. But in the process, I met a lady, Mother Jacobs. And I watched her one day. She asked me to go with her to the market. We went to the market. This was in Trinidad. And she bought material. She came home. I watched her cut the material out. I watched her sew the material. I watched her wear it that night. And she got so many compliments. And I was just fascinated to see the process. And from that time, I said, wow. So I told her the next day, I said, I would love to learn how to sew. If you can teach me anything. The first thing she taught me was, she said, the first thing you want to learn is how to sew without sewing your fingers. It was one of those machines that you pump and they didn't have any kind of needle guard. So if you sew like this, bzz, you could literally sew your fingers. So I learned how to sew 4 boxes together. 1, 2, 3, keep that part open, and then put some cushion in there so that you had a pillow. I learned how to cut a hole in the middle of cut a square, cut a hole in it, pull it over your head. You had a poncho. So I learned basic things. Then when I came home, right after that, I wound up buying a sewing machine from a friend, a used sewing machine, old beat up rusty machine, I think for about $50.
Was it a Singer?
I don't even know. It might have been a General Custard back then. The thing was so old. But what I would do is I would take shirts or pants, I would just cut them, and then I sew them together. And I started to learn how to sew like that. And I would look at material, look at garments, and I would think about, oh, how can I make something? Give me 1 second. Don't go nowhere. I'm going to show you something right quick.
Hey, so guys, you're hearing some inside information that nobody would probably even discover. This man is the real deal in so many different levels. He's one of my elders, man. This is incredible. Incredible, guys. This is the impossible thing.
Okay, here we go. So what I would do, I would sit up, I would take a piece of paper, and I would imagine, like, you see this top I have on?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I made this last night, just something to wear, when I'm watching TV. It's not finished. I'm gonna put the Japanese kanji.
You don't use a pipe, but you could
have. I'll take a piece of paper. I would, fold it, and I have this idea and say, if I did this, and if I did this, like this here, and maybe if I did this, and if I, open this up, and I did something like, I don't know. And I'm saying, man, if I could fold this like this, and if I could do that, like now I'm doing this, and I'm saying, you know what? And then next thing you know, I got a pattern for a geek kind of. So that's how I kind of start sewing. And then I would get material. I would fold clothes over. I would sew it together. It was fitting all awkward and stuff, but I got better and I learned how to sew different little things. I asked my aunts, friends, cousins, anybody that I knew how to sew. If I saw a tailor in the shop, I would go in there and look. And eventually I learned how to sew. But what led me to the uniforms, I don't mean to ramble on, but
no, that wasn't a ramble. That's true artistry right there. And that is the martial way.
So as I got better, I always had this thing in mind that I wanted to be not only a martial artist, I don't want to just go out there and do kata. I wanted to go out there and I wanted to entertain people. Win, lose, or draw. When I left, I wanted someone to say, that guy, that sugar guy, he was pretty good today. I remember him out of all of the competitors. And as a matter of fact, I want to train as well because he inspired me. That was my mission, more or less to get someone inspired enough to want to train, get involved in the martial arts, get involved in fitness, do something to improve themselves. So that was my mission. But I decided this one night, I'm jumping.
No, listen. We're having a conversation.
Yeah, I went to a show one night because I used to do security for a lot of groups. I've been fortunate to work with the Temptations, Four Tops, Black Ivory, Blue Magic, Delphonics, Al Green, James Brown.
Lions and Tigers and Bears. Oh my.
Phyllis Hyman. You know, it goes on, OJ's. But I used to see these guys.
Sugar, there was another Sugar you was with a few times. I saw too.
Oh, Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah, well, that's another story. But, you know, I used to, be with him off and on. But, that's a whole nother story. But
Mark Breland. Yeah, I saw, yeah.
Yeah. Come on, man. Don't say Mike Tyson.
Oh, don't you dare. Anyway, so I'm gonna have to just stop you a second, only because let's retract. I'm gonna backtrack a few things, guys. Your mission and your goal to inspire other people. I'm one of those people that was inspired, and not just in one way. Now, listen, one of my biggest dreams and goals and accolades in my life was when you wore one of my rec suits and you was happy with it. I was like, are you freaking
nice?
I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
By the way, that when I say that, it reminds me of Great Grandmaster Aaron Banks. Are you kidding me? Because that's the way he used to say it. That's where I got that from. And by the way, when you hear me say AB, see ya, AB is Grandmaster Aaron Banks. That's what that means.
Oh.
I'm paying homage to him.
Yes.
Because I miss him so much.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
I miss him so much.
One of the greatest of all times, man.
Smartest people. Funny.
Yeah.
And can make everyone feel great. Oh, my God.
Let me tell you something, because we going back and forth.
No.
But 1969, maybe it was, no. It was about 1970. Went to a tournament, Sunnyside Garden. They had a team, I guess it was Chuck Norris. There was a bunch of folks there. But they needed one more fighter on the team. I was just a young guy then, unknown, 16, turning 17. And so Soke Littlejohn, who was, at that time very well known and prominent fighter, one of the top in the world. And I happened to be one of his sparring partners, so to speak, student, but I was one of the few guys that could kind of go with him, even though he would whip my butt. But I could handle it. And I come back and every now and then I might get a punch in and I'm like, oh, hell, why did I do that? And, but it was a great learning experience. Anyway, I fought on the team. I fought this guy. I didn't know who he was. Joe Hess, Big Joe Hess. I was weighing about 160 at the time. And I weigh 160 now.
I was going to say,
Yeah. So I fought him. And this guy was so big, he was wiping people out. I was just so afraid of him punching me in my face and smashing my head in that I would tag him. Boom! I'd be in and out. I had nice kicks back then. I hit a move, and I won. I won on points. So Aaron Banks said, I never forget. He said, young man, who the hell are you? It's just like that. I said, they call me Sugar. And, you know, in his own way, Aaron Banks, he said, Sugar, I said, they call me Sugar, Robert Crossan. So he said, you know, you have a hell of a future in front of you. I don't know who you are, but young man, you have a hell of a future. And after that, man, it's like he prophesies. And from then, things just kind of, oh man, I love that man. Love that man.
And again, guys, what the person we're talking about, if it wasn't for him, so many people would not have been doing martial arts, because he took any and all styles of people and put them on the platform worldwide to be recognized. And it breaks my heart to think how many people have forgotten, don't even mention him, and don't even know the true history. My instructor, Sang Soo Tiger Kim, Supreme Grandmaster Sang Soo Tiger Kim, got his biggest acclaim for being part of the Oriental Wall of Self-Defense, okay? And if it wasn't for Banks, you wouldn't never saw that tiger robe and that freaking body. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is what I believe. I'm gonna ask you, if you see a photo of Bruce Lee, Jack LaLanne, and Tiger Kim, I say Tiger Kim's body was better than both those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
How crazy is that? Let's think about that for a second. That's like a superhero.
No doubt.
And can fly through the air and freaking do all types of...
Yeah. One of the first guys I seen like jump up like 10 feet and kick stuff. Blah, 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 blah. Like
he was too muscular. Remember, you can't be muscular. And so again, we knew that it was possible to do the impossible when you have an instructor that can roll on one finger.
Yeah.
That's impossible. So let's just backtrack a little bit, just so we can get some chronological checks. It was inspired and taught initially by your father. At some point, you start taking some other form of martial arts.
I started, well, I've had a few quick instructors. I've learned from a few people. I had a friend named Freddie that we used to read Bruce Tegner books.
Oh,
and, yeah.
He
was in junior high or maybe high school at the time, and he would help me because I couldn't read that well back then, you know, 7, 8, you know.
But you can read the pictures. Because Bruce Tegner had karate, judo, kung fu, and then you would flip the pages and Tegner would be moving and doing his thing, right?
That's right, Bruce Tegner. So I started learning stuff from him. And then I eventually I went to a place called the Good Shepherd Center, which was in Brownsville. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, Kings County Hospital, but raised in Brownsville in East New York, a rough part of Brooklyn, which Mike Tyson used to live around the corner from me years later, as I was an adult. But he lived on Amboy. I lived on like close to Saratoga Avenue, so a block or two. But yeah, Good Shepherd Center. So I would go there, and I would go to a school 263, and they had a karate program there. And I couldn't afford lessons, but it was free. And I remember the school. I used to run down Pickett Avenue to go to Good Shepherd Center. It was like about 1.5 miles from my house, and I would jog there. I mean, as a young boy, you could do that back then. Now, you better not go there as a man, running in the street, Pickett Avenue.
Well, there's a possibility that that neighborhood, like what used to be Bed-Stuy, is pretty good now.
Yeah. Well, Bed-Stuy, but I was from Brownsville.
Right.
But it's still changed. But
so sorry, you're going to shop. You're jogging to the school, and who's the teacher? What style? Talk to me. Come on, baby.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to skip fast forward. It was a guy named Richard who was a green belt. He was in Shotokan karate, and I started learning Shotokan through him. There was another guy named Johnny that did Mudokan, and he lived across the street. So anybody I could learn from, I learned, you know. Then Bill Green, Mr. Green, we call him, who at the time was a green belt. I actually had achieved the yellow belt, right? And, but that's another story. I don't even know if I was a real yellow belt according to the guy that taught me, but anyway, I had achieved the yellow belt. I went in there with my yellow belt. They let me keep it. They called me yellow. But they saw that I had, you know, a lot of potential. So one day I was in there working out. I was in the class with all the adults because they didn't have kids then, really many kids. And another gentleman, Mr. Lockley Bay, who ran the center, after school center program and stuff, who was also an instructor. But we never call him sensei, we just call him Mr. Lockley Bay. He left, he had to go take a phone call. He said, Yellow, take over the class. So I got all these big guys, but I had studied his movements and I had this memory, you know, downward block, reverse punch, you know, kicking from the hip, hands up here, you know, and just kind of imitating it.
Yeah, mimicking, yeah.
And I'm in there. Okay, mister, is this the way it's got to be done? You got to snap the hips. Do you understand? These big guys? And they, yes, sir. So I'm like, I could get used to this here. So I'm saying, we're going to move. Heon, shut on number one. So we're going to move here. Pop. And we go. And I looked around and Lockley Bay, Mr. Bay was looking and he was like this. So I said, sir. He said, no, continue. I finished the class out. It might have been like 10 minutes going through different exercises. And then again, he said, young man, you got quite a future. He said, never quit training. He said, this is something that I could see you going all the way with. Unfortunately, he died about 3 years after that. But anyway, let me move forward. I said it with Mr. Bill Green, who was a student under Grandmaster George Cofield.
Hung Dojo during that time, or was it the university?
Hung Dojo, the original, which was on St. Mark's and Flatbush. And actually, they weren't even there yet. They were on Fulton Street.
Was Hawk Frazier there?
Oh,
the Wilder twins?
Hawk had a school around the corner. Yeah, he had a school around the corner from where I used to live in Brownsville. Yep, so I used to go and sit in his school and watch. And then I go to this other school called International, which was Shotokan Karate, and this guy named Harvey, who was an excellent practitioner in my view, from what I could see in comparison to some of the other practitioners, and I would pick up from him. He was around the corner from Jerome Mackey's, which was...
Whoa, I was going to ask you about that, but just one question. Did you know that Great Grandmaster Aaron Banks' first style was Shotokan?
I didn't know that.
John Slocum.
Get out of here.
1958.
Wow.
Do you know why? He had a fight in the Colony record shop on Broadway, right in the middle of the street. And
that was near his school.
Say it again?
That was near his school.
Yeah. So what happened was, he said he had a fight and he didn't think he won. He didn't like the idea that, you know, they called it like a tie. He didn't like the idea he wasn't able to protect himself. At the time, he was an actor, a singer, because he was on Broadway as an
entertainer. Yeah.
Right. So what he said was he started training with Slocum. The year after, of course, he met Mr. Urban. And see, I had an opportunity to have Great Grandmaster Aaron Banks on a daily conversation for well over 3 years. He was in charge of my public relations in the early 1990s. And he's doing that forced me to do a few things that I didn't want to do, but that's the reason I'm doing this. I did 25 episodes of my own public access TV show to practice 3-camera shooting. And he said to me that, and your left pinky, you have more talent than all of them combined, and you don't care. That's what he's telling me. I'm thinking, I don't know who he's talking about. I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars over here. I'm kind of good. Yeah. But he looked at me with, or put it like this. When I do things, I ask myself, what would Banks do? And you know what Banks would do? This. He would interview you right now. So
All right.
pay
All right.
homage to the great Grandmaster and Bax. So
Yeah.
now you're talking about right now martial arts legends, including Mr. Cofield, who literally was part of the Oriental Wall of Defense and everything else. So this is where Banks intertwines. He had tournaments every month at Sunnyside Gardens.
Yes.
Continue.
Yes.
So sorry.
But, yeah. So the Shotokan karate, and then at age around 8, I went to visit my sister in I forgot what it was called. It was Jamaica Queens, the beginning part of Jamaica Queens, something Hill. I can't think of the name of it right now. It's been so long. But I'm going into the store. I come out. I go into the pizza store, and as I come out, these 2 young white youth, they stop me and say, "What are you doing in white boys' turf?" Now, I didn't know what that meant. I'm trying to figure out, well, white boy, what does the word turf mean? You know, so the guy mushed the pizza in my face and pushed me down. So first thing I'm thinking, oh, I'm down here, I'm going to do the scissor move. But then I was like, man, if it don't work, then they're going to really beat me up. So they start kicking at me, and I'm blocking. I'm saying, stop. So I'm trying to process, why are they doing this? Is this really happening? So this man jumps out of the car, yells at them, they take off. After that, I went back to my sister's house, and it hit me. I said, you know what? I need to really learn something that's going to help me to defend myself, because that was a rude awakening.
At age
I could have got hurt.
At age 8.
Yeah. So for a long time, I had this paranoia about white people. I thought they all was evil. If I saw white teenagers, I thought they were out to get me. I literally would hide behind a car in a building. I would run the other way. I was afraid of white people because
they call it PS, whatever the hell. Today they call it that, post-traumatic syndrome, whatever that.
Stress disorder.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
PSD, right?
But yeah. And I had this thing in my mind, oh, I'm going to train hard now because I'm going to beat up those white boys again. I'm going to see them one day, and they're going to try that again.
Never again, right?
And I said also, but the other thing is, I'm going to train so hard that I can become an instructor and become so good that I can help others to prevent that from ever happening to them. So I had this hate, but years later, fast forward, and Professor V, I told him the story, asked him, why do I train so hard? And I told him, and he said, so you hate white people, huh? I said, no, just those white teenagers. He said, what if they were black? Would you hate them? Would you hate black people? I said, no. He said, and you said someone jumped out of the car. Who was that? I said, it was a white man. He said, so technically he saved you. So he said, you got to realize that was an isolated incident. It was some ignorant youth, you know, sometimes black, white, Chinese, they do dumb things, you know, when you're young. He said, so you can't hold that grudge against the people. He said that was, you know, an isolated situation. After that, it changed my whole perspective. So
wait. How did you get to Professor V, man?
Okay, I jumped fast
That's
forward.
That's okay.
Okay. So what happened after that?
Wow.
A week later, I went with my friend Freddie. We went to a demonstration at 258, which was in Bedford-Stuyvesant. So I'm there. I'm saying, okay, it's a karate show. Let me see if I can learn something. So they're doing their thing. I'm fascinated. Wow, I never seen anybody do a roll, basic roll, face fall, throws. I said, that's what I need to learn. That looks real there. So then here comes this little guy, and 5, 6 guys attack him. He's doing a multiple attack. He's kicking, throwing, spinning. Man, I fell in love with this guy. It was Soke Little John Davis. He was 17, I think, at the time. And I was like, man, said, I gotta meet him. And I want to do this. I want to do it. I didn't have no money. I didn't have any concept of it cost money or whatever. I just knew I wanted to do this. So I said, that's probably the baddest guy I ever seen. All of a sudden, I see this big guy walking out like this here, muscular. So then he tells all the black belts, and he tells the guy who was just looking at Little John Davis at that, they call him at the time, come. Man, he's throwing them, he's moving smooth like butter. I was like this. The whole show, I was on the edge of my seat, and it was just so fascinating to me, man. That changed my life. That right there changed my life. I went to backstage afterwards, and I met Soke Little John. He was very, nice and welcoming. Then Dr. Powell, he was turned opposite way, I swear. He looked like if you were standing behind King Kong, you know how big kid that man, and I'm like, wow, and he turns around, phew. So I'm saying to myself before that, I'm gonna say, hi, Mr. Powell, my name is Robert Crossan, and I really admired what you did, and I would like to become a student, and I'm going over it over. He turns around, he says, how are you doing? I'm like, he said, do you speak? Do you speak? I said, So anyway, finally it came out, and I told him I want to train under him, and he laughed. He said, well, you're kind of young. We don't really teach kids like that. We do, but this is some serious stuff. Anyway, long story short, I started training under him, and so Little John, and that was one of the greatest experiences of my life, being able to train at that time, because it was real. The karate was real, the jiu-jitsu was real. There was no tit-tat. If you couldn't take the training, then you wouldn't last. Yeah. You get hit, you get slammed. We didn't have mats. I learned on the concrete floor how to fall. Years later, I developed the flying roll, but that's another story too.
So let me just backtrack for a second.
Hold it. And let me say this here.
Sir. Yes, sir.
A lot of these guys that are claimed to be this and that, I don't know what happened behind those doors, but they wasn't there.
Yeah, it's interesting.
That claimed to be there was not there.
Right. You have
That's coming from other systems that eventually studied maybe at Worlds Collide or did a seminar. And anyway, as Eric Banks says, they wasn't there.
Right. And that's the whole thing that I was gonna say. The fact that you wanted to train as a young boy and you had this traumatic experience and you was willing to see, guys, the frontal cortex is fight, flight, or freeze. Mm-hmm. Initially, you froze, but you still froze yourself in position. You said to yourself, never again. Mm-hmm. If this happens again, I'm gonna fight. Yeah. But I need to learn. So you went searching for the information and you met real life superheroes. Real life superheroes. In addition to that, it wasn't just one, it was a whole family, because at some point you did mention Professor V, and there is a hierarchy. So because of that, let's continue with that. When did you get a chance to meet the Superman's instructor?
Well, let's stay there. Okay, so that was years later, but in between that, around age, and it seemed like I was like 10, 9. I really, because as I really reflected, I looked at some of the records and stuff. I was about 14 when my mother died.
Oh.
Right, my mother died. It was devastating. Took a whole lot out of me, and I can remember it today.
How proud is she of you?
Very, very. I know that I hear all the time. I hear her all the time.
Wonderful. That's right.
In fact, I did something just last night. I never did in my life, but I thought about her and my aunt. I made a chocolate cake just to see if I could do it, and it came out well. But
hey, listen, for on a little side note, guys, we don't die, we transcend. You can't kill energy. And when we pay homage to the people who aren't here on this frequency, they shine wherever they're at. They live through us.
That's right.
That's my belief.
Right. So,
chocolate cake, baby.
Moving forward a little bit, yeah. I get a knock on the door. it's the insurance agent coming to take care of whatever, final arrangements or whatever for my mother. I look up, who is it? It is great grandmaster, that's what we can call him now, Ronald Duncan.
Holy smoke.
He's the insurance agent. Once again, I go into fast freeze. He said, "Hi, I'm Ronald Duncan and I'm here." So he's looking at me. I'm like, I said, you're Ronald Duncan. He said, "Yes, I just said that." I said, no, I'm one of Moses Powell. Oh, Moses, yes, we're good friends, Moses, and that's the first time I really had the chance to meet him.
And did you realize back then that he was a Latino? Panamanian. People don't even realize he's Panamanian.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I didn't know.
Peace to him. Yeah.
I didn't know, but yeah.
He looked at you with that eye too, right?
Yeah. Yep. So.
Oh my God.
That was my first experience of meeting him. Then, thereafter I went and I sought him out, went to his school and just watched some.
Get out of here.
Classes. Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't tell people. I mean, I think. Felix Vasquez wasn't with him at that time. From what I remember, I just never met Felix unless he was just a real young guy. But this was years. Well, when I first met him, no, I don't know of any of his students. But yeah, and then we talked and he got a chance to see me do something. And he said, young man, got a lot of potential. And I said, man, people keep saying that.
Yeah, that's a little common denominator.
I would hear it, but people start saying it. And I said, maybe I do have something here. They see something in me that I'm not seeing. Professor B told me to say, I can get into that, but so many people. Peter Urban.
My guys, just so you know, for those of you who may not know, because we have people of all ages.
Grandmaster, great grandmaster.
The people that he's mentioning right now are literally the first generation of martial arts heroes in the United States, more particularly in New York area, who literally have students worldwide years after. And one of the common denominators is that they all went through at one point interconnected with great grandmaster Aaron Banks, because he was able to promote and expose a lot of these people. Like Banks brought in a 10th degree to America, the first red belt that we ever saw on Earth, on American soil, which is Yamaguchi, the cat himself. But I just want to let everybody know that these are the forefathers, and there's different levels, and they all respected each other. There was no divide and conquer.
Like today, the haters and this one don't like that one and this one, they all respected each other.
If I say a person's name like, rest in peace, Mr. Hamilton, what would come up to your head?
Fred Hamilton, respect, great person. He was a mentor. I mean, these instructors, even though he wasn't their students, when he saw he had a tournament, if he was respectful, then he always had something positive to give you. Young man, I saw your kata. What you want to do is you want to lock your hands, you want to keep them up. And I saw you starting to argue and lose your temper. You have to maintain the discipline. And I got so much stuff from different instructors. It was like, wow. Some people were hard-headed. He's not my instructor. Don't tell me what to do. I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I had a chance to speak to Professor V one time.
Yeah.
And he says to me, "You are very knowledgeable for being so young." I was just asking questions because to me, what I was seeing didn't make any sense, because it wasn't applicable to what I wanted to do, which was become a modern day Bruce Lee, effective.
Yeah.
And I had a chance to speak to, rest in peace also, to Ed Parker. He was watching me compete. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And he gave me some advice too. And I was like, what? So it used to be a village of elders that shared the information to the younger people, as opposed to those who weren't open to getting that knowledge from the elders.
That's right. That's right. And I had the opportunity to meet Grandmaster Ed Parker. I did a show at the Garden. And after that, he was one of the people that said, you know, Sugar, you have so much potential. He said, you know, I helped Bruce Lee and many others to get involved in the movie industry. He said, I think you'd be a great fit. He said, you get the opportunity. And he gave me his card. He said, I want you to come out and see me, California. He said, you can stay with me. He said, I'm going to share some things with you, and I think that you would be a great fit in the movies. Man, I was just beaming. The problem was I didn't have a token to get back home that day, much less trying to get on the airplane to go to California. Finally, when I started to come into, you know, some
Cash flow.
success economically and financially, and I was able to travel, and it was in my mind, I said, I got to go see great Grandmaster. Well, Grandmaster, we call him Sensei, Ed Parker. And unfortunately, I got the word that he had passed. And you know, I would call him, I would speak with him, and it just crushed me, man. He was such a great man that did so much for so many. And a lot of these instructors, Grandmaster Peter Irving, of course, Grandmaster Moses Powell, Grandmaster Cofield, Grandmaster, I even met, well, that was years back, I met the cat, Yamaguchi. But I'm saying a lot of the Grandmasters, yeah, man, they were true warriors, true pioneers, and it is their shoulders that we stand on.
Right.
It's their shoulders that I stand on.
And again, that's why, sorry, but I just got to share this again, only because there's a common thread of all those people. And again, it goes back with Banks. Banks was there to make everybody else shine, even though he jumped up on stage, did his thing too, on top of that. But my gosh, how is it that so many people interconnected with each other and made what would be, like you said, the forefathers work together to have the next generations, and so many people don't even know. In their mind, they think they know.
They don't know
the truth.
They don't know. Well, you know, there's so much that we could talk about, and we got to do this again. But
yes, sir.
One of the things that comes to mind is that at one point, you know, I guess entertainers, performers, they go through this. If they're not on stage the way they used to be, they have this fear of being forgotten. And I said, I never want to be forgotten. And what I've done in the martial arts, I've contributed my blood, my sweat, my tears, my life, my dedication, hundreds of thousands of hours of commitment. People don't see that. They think I'll just get up on the stage, do a performance, but it's a lot that goes into it. I think about the stage, I think about the people, I think about the sound, the smell, I think about my uniform and how the light will reflect off it. I think about when I take my sash off and I'm gonna find a kid in the audience to give it to him, or paying the chuckers and I'm gonna give it to this person, or, you know, and I just go over all this before I even come out to perform. And then I draw up the energy of the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen, Madison Square Garden, My World of Sports is proud to present Robert Sugar Crossing or whatever, and I come out, you know, and then I got this mentality that I picked up from being around or in the presence of James Brown, the Temptations, Four Tops, and different individuals, how they would come out, how they would get psyched up before time, and how they would just transform. You see them backstage and they're like this, like Michael Jackson. Had the opportunity to do security one time for him for a little bit. He's like this, you know, yes, yes, yes. But then when he goes out there, it's like this. Audience go crazy. And you hear it, can you feel it? Yeah. And he builds it up and explode. And I took that from like entertainers like him, entertainers like Prince, entertainers like James Brown and Temptations. So that's how
The real artist.
yeah. So I
So,
wanted to be entertaining, educational, informative. I wanted to be comical. I wanted to be realistic, deadly.
impactful, memorable.
My whole show. So, and the name Sugar. Sugar was given to me by my mother at birth. I had an Uncle Sugar, but they called him Sugar, and they called me Baby Sugar after him. Because my other uncle, he got jealous because my other uncle name was Uncle Bob. So they named me Robert. So my Uncle Sugar said, what about me? So they named me Baby Sugar. So as I got older, the name Sugar just stuck with me.
I'm glad you clarified that. And it's incredible to just think of common denominators that a lot of people have had. Because for many years, when I would come and do things, people were uncomfortable because it wasn't the norm. Yeah. I'm like, but I'm just following the steps of Dusty Rhodes, of superstar Billy Graham, of Spider-Man, of the Incredible Hulk, of Bruce Lee, except I'm born in Spanish Harlem, raised in the Boogie Down Bronx, kid part of the hip hop culture. So what am I supposed to do? And then I'm looking at you, and you didn't belong in the so-called equation because you was from a different time. So this guy here is like, when I look at someone like George Chung come to you all excited because he was influenced by you, doing all the different things, seeing you jump over the judges. And then by the time they turn around, you jump back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy smokes. The uniforms with glitter.
Yeah.
With freaking lights, camera, action, exactly what you said. The greatest show on earth, the greatest entertainer, the hardest. And you used to drive people crazy, but the difference was that you had a level of credibility that was established already. And then you added to the repertoire. One of the things that I did that you may not know, but around 1991, Soki Little John and Anthony Muhammad were used to doing their two-man set. And it was a great fight scene. It was incredible.
Yeah. And
I was doing forms against them in the open division, right? So the music starts, I start dancing, I start doing my thing, right? And people going crazy. We hate him. Right? And then as it turned out, Great Grandmaster Aaron Banks was a center judge. It was that Lamar Thorne's tournament over in Burbank. And we tied. They won again. Did the same routine. I did Kankudai. And I won. And I won. Now, I'm over here trying to figure out, I was just trying to warm up to fight because I won Grand Champion fighting too. But this is what happened. Again, going back to Banks. They huddled and Banks said to me, they said, I'm going to give him a 0. What the hell was that? I'm going to give him a 0, one of the guys said. And Banks said, the crowd seemed to like it. I'm going to give him a 10.
That was the promoter's mentality.
And then about a few months after that, he gives me an award. And he labeled the award and he announced already, this is the leader of the new school of martial arts. And I was like, oh my God. Him not knowing that I was Sang-Soo Tiger Kim's student. And shortly after, I called him and I wanted to show him how much I appreciated. At this time, my instructor had passed. And I wanted to let him know how much I appreciated what he had done. And as a little kid, give me a chance to see that guy I saw on Wild World of Sports and meet him and become. As a matter of fact, next Saturday, the Tiger Kim twins and myself, we're gonna meet because we meet every few months.
Oh man, give them my regards.
Imagine that. So
they will like him.
Yes, sir. Yeah. But giants, right? Big versions of him. Do you know I have videotape? I shouldn't say, well, it is video now because they transferred it, of Tiger Kim running in 1975 in the snow and swimming in the winter in Orchard Beach. I have the footage. I also did Young Min Kim. I trained last December, all of us, there's 5 of us that trained. I joined Tiger Kids April 19th, 1976. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And everything changed. And we trained with Grandmaster Young Min Kim, December.
Yeah.
He still does the full splits, thumb push-ups, everything.
Crazy.
These guys are real martial artists to me.
Yeah.
Not cuckoo, crazy.
Yeah.
And it's sad for me to say that they're true minorities. I consider you a true minority too. You lead by example. In recent years, I've seen you put photos that are incredible. I'm thinking, man, you have Kung Fu uniforms, you have freaking karate uniforms, you have like real deal martial arts. Can you talk about that just for a second? Because you're living, I believe, in a happy place.
Yeah, I am. Well, listen, I can do anything I want now, man. You know, someone said to me one time, well, why are you wearing a Kung Fu uniform? You're jujitsu. I said, man, until I punch you in your mouth, you wouldn't know that I could box. I said, I've done a little bit of, you know, I've learned a little praying mantis, a little tiger claw, I've dipped, but still, hey, listen, I can wear what I want. I make my uniforms, you know, so I'm having fun with it right now, man. I'm like a kid in Toyland, man. You can't see this, but I got all kind of weapons and stuff in my room. In this,
I'm gonna give you a little insight here, just so you know
how to use them. So I'm having fun with them. Hold on 1 second.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just enjoy this time now. Like I said, this is something I made. I'm gonna finish it up, put some Japanese kanji on it. I got 4 sewing machines and embroidery, and I've learned that stuff. I'm learning woodworking, building stuff. I build a machine or weightlifting, bench press. I'm doing all kinds of stuff. But the photos, I've become somewhat of a amateur photographer, so I'm doing my own photos. I'm starting to do my own video editing and just learning new and different things. But it seems to motivate people and get them excited. And like in the words of Aaron Banks, they liked it. So that's it.
Hey, so listen, and I don't want to take too much more of your time, but before we finish this thing, I want to let you guys know one thing. In Las Vegas, I had an opportunity to hang out with one of my, what I consider influencers, some dude named Asuka. And the crazy thing about it was that, man, this guy loves magic. And it was a magical weekend. I mean, I got stuck in Paris for a minute.
And
then before you know it, the beatbox is happening. Man, props to Dougie Fresh, man. What a freaking cool dude. You know, let's just talk about that weekend.
Yeah.
You go and we win the world championships. And then we had a chance to hang out with some people.
We go and I meet you there.
Right.
Because I went.
Oh, yeah, I had no idea. That's right. Right.
Boom. So, you know, we're there. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I want to hear it from your side, because when it comes down to it, see, this is the part you don't get. You don't get this. I'm a little kid. I'm 10 years old. I see you perform. I get a chance to hang out with the dude. Yes, we met and talked 1,000 times. Yes, I did a few things here and there. But regardless, I'm still hanging out with the dude that I saw as a little kid. You understand? That's the deal. So I'm still blown away because I'm in Vegas and I get a chance to, and again, we interact 1,000 times. I know that, but every time to me is so special because I'm a little kid and this guy that I looked up to was so nice to me. Every time. And I was like, wow, because there's so many people that aren't nice.
Yeah.
In the martial arts world. And I have a lot of stories of people who's done some freaking messed up things. So I always appreciate you. But when we had a chance to hang out, I just wish those cameras were rolling, man.
Oh man.
Because everybody else was rolling, right? Let's talk about that, man.
I come to the tournament, man. I'm changing up, getting ready to go and, get ready to go on. And what do I hear? All this screaming and stuff. I said, man, right over there, people running. And I'm like, damn, it's kind of crazy. This reminds me of Brooklyn here. So I go over there and see what's happening. It's Jerry Fast Feet Fontaine beating up people. 1, 2, 3. Spider. 1, 2, 3. Pop. Next, who you got? And he's Fast Feet. Asuka. People looking at us like we crazy, and that's where it began, right?
Oh my God.
Oh man, we had a ball. Then you tell me, I had to come to the tournament right quick, and I didn't even get a chance to
get a room,
find a hotel. I said, man, I got a suite. Come on, you hanging out with me, and we hung out the whole time.
Oh.
And then I get a call from my friend. You're talking about hip hop and what was that? The Lockers?
Yeah, the Rocksteady Crew.
Rocksteady Crew and all that, and hip hop, and you was breaking down the history, which was fascinating to me, because I didn't know you were into all that stuff, man. You one of the original guys from back in the day. You can do all that.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's right. Part of the history.
yeah, But so we're talking. So I said, yeah, man. I said, my boy, Dougie Fresh. He said, Dougie Fresh? Yeah. I said, yeah, man, I know Dougie. I said, as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to give him a call just to say hello. I called him, and Dougie says, we're in Vegas now. He said, hey, Professor. He said, what's up? I said, yeah, man, everything's good. What's going on? Where you at? He said, I'm in Vegas. So I didn't say anything. I said, where are you? And he was saying, what was the hotel?
Yeah, it was the Bally's.
Bally's, which we were staying in a hotel right across the street. I said, man, I'm looking at you through the window. He started laughing. Yeah, man, you should have been out here. I said, brother, what room you in? I'll be over there in a minute. So
he was in a suite. He was in a real deal suite in the top, man.
10th floor. We went up there. Oh man, penthouse view. I mean, it was fantastic. He didn't think that, he thought we were joking. I said, I got my man with me. I said, my man, he's dynamic, one of the top fighters in the country, world champion. We both just won world titles. So you here for real? I said, yeah. We went up, we hung out with him. We went to the show, red carpet and everything.
Yeah, so this is what ended up happening, guys. It was so hilarious because he's doing an awards banquet, and in the show that they literally had the cast of a TV show that was on, it was on Showtime, Soul Food, the cast of Soul Food, and one of the guys in Soul Food, Darren, who was actually a dancer, was trying to get props. He's like, hey, Fastly, tell them I'm a dancer. So I come into the place and I have to be the credibility for this guy who was choreographing everybody, Darren's dance grooves. He was part of, the circuit, the whole nine. And bottom line was that it was just magical. Next thing you know, we hanging out with one of the guys in the room was a freaking billionaire. And then we were dealing with people.
That's right. That guy. That's right. He fell in love with us both, man. He was like, hey guys, buy this, get that, but we was cool. We like, nah, it's just.
Of course not. But again, it was one of those magical, but again, those are one of those things, guys, for whatever it's worth, that I believe is a blessing, because again, you go back to 1976 and here's this little kid and he gets a chance to see, because whether it was 76, 77, 78, you would do shows, and then you would compete in tournaments. And I'm going to traditional Taekwondo tournaments, but you was doing forums, winning grand champion, and props to Jerry Robbins or Gerard Robbins, who was winning the fighting. I'm like, what the hell? And in Region 11, he is, I'm like, to me, you guys were like guards, So to be able to hang out, the other day, I get a phone call via Messenger, and who is it? Jerry Robbins, Gerard Robbins. And I'm like, man, this freaking dude was, he was always so kind to me.
Yeah.
And to me, that's so, it was important because.
Well, I learned something, Jerry, from the true martial artist years back, like I said, when I met Grandmaster Ronald Duncan and how he was so gracious. How I met Grandmaster Ed Parker, he was so gracious. And I met these different people, Grandmaster Pete Urban. And you think these guys, as big as they were, they were like superstars, that they would be like, oh, you can't talk to me, don't look at me. But they welcomed me and they gave me some words of advice, some words of wisdom. And I always took that to say, well, when I get to a certain level, if there's a kid that comes to me, or I can help someone, whether it's an adult kid, and give them some words of wisdom that have helped me along the way, then I'm gonna do that. So I never tripped on.
Wait a minute. It sounds like you heard somebody say, "Each one teach one." Is that maybe part of that influence too? Each one teach one, huh?
Well, believe it or not, I've heard it. I've never used it, but I know it. Yeah. I had Sugaroo teach you. No.
And that's another thing too, where you put together curriculums, and I saw you, just like a little kid, grab anything and play with it, including the new, because we went to a store, guys, it was a magic store.
Don't get me started, man.
This man loves magic, and he's always been magical. But you know what? We're gonna save that for another time, because for whatever it's worth, guys, I've taken too much time from him right now, because realistically, he has things to do. But all I can say is that I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, because I know that this is not something. I mean, we spoke today, you know, yes. And I'm sure the average person were to try to get him to do an interview this long today, they would have been, wait a minute, brother. You know, so I take this as a.
You got time, man. Listen, there's so much nonsense out here, and I just want to touch on this, man. And I'm not trying to bust anybody's bubble, but the title Grandmaster is used so loosely now. I mean, I don't even know what the word Grandmaster is supposed to represent these days. It's sad to a degree that we have individuals claim to be grandmasters. One, they're not in shape physically. Okay, sometimes things happen. You may have some type of medical issue where everybody can't be slim and trim or whatever, but at least you gotta still be able to lead by example, be able to do certain things. If you're a grandmaster, come on, you gotta be able to throw a kick, a punch, do a decent throw, do a wrist lock with form and technique. You have to have a certain level of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of not only how to punch, kick, and throw, but how to encourage and to uplift, and how to educate and motivate someone to improve the quality of their life. And as we're going through this COVID thing and all that's going on with politics and stuff, people are jumping off buildings, got billions of dollars, still jumping out of buildings that they own, killing themselves. Martial artists are flipping out because of what's going on. And, okay, so we've dealt with the physical, but now it's the mental, the emotional, the philosophical, and most of all, the spiritual. Where is the spiritual? Because that's what's going to get us over. But anyway, getting back to my point, I don't feel that you are a grandmaster or considered as a grandmaster just because you've promoted a student to master. Now you got to elevate yourself above them to maintain a level above them, but your skill level is not up to par, has never been on that level. And I'm not talking about anyone in particular, but if the shoe fits, you got to wear it. If you're upset with me, all I can do is say, train. Because they have a saying. Well, that saying says, if you can't beat them, join them. I say, if you can't beat them, train harder. But anyway, that was my point, man. You got the Grandmasters, the Grand Poobahs, the Grand Hyatt hotels. I don't know how much bigger it could get. So as I was telling you earlier, I'm trying to find another name, another title.
We had that little conversation previously because for whatever it's worth, I said to you, hey, listen, I use that title only because I don't know what else to use, because realistically, I put the curriculum together. But when it comes down to it, we mentioned that, I mean, even though I want to use the Japanese word, like I told you, in Okinawa, everyone's a sensei. There's no levels; they're all sensei, and then they bow and they show respect, and they all interconnected with each other too. You know, this divide and conquer nonsense to me has always been heart wrenching because I'm like, if you ever notice, whether people like it or not, I treat everybody the same. I'm gonna have a good time. You know, I go somewhere,
Yeah.
I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
And people who really are in positions of leadership, they just go, man, that's just the way he is. And then their students be like, what the heck? Who the hell this guy is? He's being disrespectful or something? They go, nah, man. Because they know that I love them. And I'm not trying to, rest in peace to Joe Louis. This is what he said, which blew me away. Because he was probably one of the top 3 most arrogant competitors of all time, right? He said to me, you know, this is the difference. People like to make fun of people, and you like to have fun. So he was never offended.
Yeah.
Because he knew my intentions was not to do anything else but bring a smile to somebody's face, you know?
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the dynamics to do that, sometimes it's not that easy within the martial arts world.
Because they expect a certain mentality. It's like me. Yeah, I'm Grandmaster. I'm founder of my system and all that. I'm not tripping on it, man. I'll talk to anybody, you know. I'll talk, I'll laugh, you know, tell a joke. And I don't feel any kind of way like, you know, self-conscious that this person's going to look at me like, oh, he's not a real Grandmaster. He's not. Look, I could laugh and joke and put you in the same wrist lock, or laugh and joke and hit you and take you out. You know, people have said, oh, well, you know, I seen him do kata. He's a good kata guy, but I never seen him fight. Some people say, oh, I seen him fight. He was a good fighter, but I never seen him do kata. Oh, he's a jiu-jitsu guy, but I never seen him do karate. Oh, he's done weapons, but yeah, listen. This may be a bad way to put it. I told this guy one time who told me that, I was so insulted. I said, look, I never seen your mother and father get together, but you're here, right? So, I mean, in other words, you don't have to see me to know that I did something, or you know, if you don't believe that I did, that's up to you.
Listen, today, not that you need it, but today I was saying that to somebody. I said, bro, check this out. When he decided to compete in fighting, he was enjoying himself, and I saw it happen. So you took, I mean, it wasn't for a long time, but you was having so much fun. I was excited because that's what it's all about, expression. Yeah. Now, in 2020, it seems to me that you just might be better than ever. What's up with that? What's up with that? How can you not resting on your laurels and going backwards?
Man, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. You know, I didn't come this far, and God didn't bring me this far to leave me right here. Man, I got to continue this journey. The book is not closed, so I leave the planet. And it's about, like I said, creativity. We continue to create. You create one song, that's cool. But you create an album, that's better. But then if you create a gold album, a platinum album, and you create another one, and as long as God has given me this strength, power, willpower, determination, energy, the knowledge, I'm going to do it. And as long as it's something that will just touch the heart, life, and spirit of one person, then I'm fulfilling a purpose. And I don't take it for granted. I thank God each day that I wake up. I thank him for the opportunity to even say thank you. So, and I'm motivated. I'm hyped. I'm going to go train after this. I'm going to go get some ab work in, go do some stretching, throw some punches. And I'm going to tell you a secret, and some people may be against this. You know, some people, you know, they say, well, you know, as martial arts, you're not supposed to drink alcohol. You're not supposed to smoke. You're not supposed to do drugs. And I think so, too, because that's not what I do. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go eat some of that chocolate cake.
And you made yesterday. That you made yesterday in homage to these women who aren't here, but they still in here.
Yeah. I wouldn't advise for everybody. But yeah, but that's what I'm saying, man. We can laugh, we can joke, but at the end of the day, the true warriors, they know who they are. so they don't have to hide behind a shell or try to be this big person. Or, hey, look, I am who I am, and I'm going to be
Hey, that sounds like Popeye.
Popeye, and that's all I could stand.
Listen, sir,
Hey, listen, man, I'm gonna get on out of here, but
I'm honored. Will you do me a favor, and this is going to be a public commitment, if you don't mind? Would it be possible for us to revisit you and continue on some of the many journeys that we've had, that you have had? Because when it comes down to it, I honestly believe the best is yet to come. I really honestly believe that.
Absolutely, man. I'm feeling great and getting better. And one last thing too, it's so much. But years ago, I was diagnosed with prostate cancer about 16, 17 years ago. But through the grace and glory of God, spanned my life. He's enabled that test, which I believe it was, to become a testimony. And, you know, I've taken that and I talk to men all over the world about monitoring their health, monitoring what they think, what they eat, what they say, what they do, and even monitoring what they take in and what they hear. So that just gave me a whole different perspective on life, and it's made me really realize more than ever that a lot of the stuff that, as they say, don't sweat the small stuff, a lot of stuff that we thought was important and we bickering and arguing and bitching about, excuse the expression, it's not important. It's not important. So I'll say this, all of you son of a biscuit out there, stop worrying yourself. All right, man, I'm out.
Hey, so again, maybe next time we could pick on that, because I believe that health is wealth, and you know that we had that conversation previously. And my mission and goal is to help as many people stay alive. But if you don't mind, when I say AB, man, you know what to say. Again, guys, listen, you have just heard from one of the people that I look up to, even though he's shorter than me. And when it's all said and done, this dude has just begun. You haven't heard anything yet, because there's so much more. And for whatever it's worth, we may have to go on location sooner than later, because he showed me a home that looked kind of cool. You know what I'm saying? So in the famous voice of crazy Puerto Rican from the Bronx, when I say AB, man, I think you know what to say. AB, see ya. We out of here. Thank you very much. God bless. Best wishes. Booyaka. Thank you. Oh, you know what time it is.